All right, today we're gonna take on our latest project, and that is hang some drywall on the ceiling here in the kitchen so we can get started on the cabinets. I want to get the drywall up and out of the way so it's not going to hurt the cabinets. Our first piece is over here in this corner, and it's going to be with this can light, and we'll show you a quick little trick to go ahead and put in can lights. It's the easy way without a lot of measuring. And so let's get started. We'll start with getting this wood up there. We're using 1 5/8 inch drywall screws. They're coarse threaded, so you can see they're coarse thread just means there's a lot of space in between each thread. We're using the square drive bits rather than the Phillips. You get a lot more torque, doesn't slip out. And the screws go in every 12 inches or so. There's some metal there. We'll try back here and see what happens. There are metal plates, there should be. Wherever you have a line going through, you should have these metal protection plates. These holes are very low on the beam, and if we were going to protect these you'd put a metal plate on it, because this screw, even through the drywall, could puncture that pipe. So you can use screws or nails. I like screws. They're certainly or you can alternate. You can have screws in the perimeter, nails in the field. However you prefer it, but and then when you put it screwed in, on the edges of it, it's usually beveled, and so you have this can stick out a little bit if you wanted to, because you're going to mud over that. But in the field, they have to be sunk. They have to sink into the drywall without going all the way through. So it's a delicate maneuver, but with practice, it's not too bad. And then we'll just fill that in with mud in a little bit. But yeah, you shouldn't be able to feel the heads when you run your finger over them, and then you know they're in good shape. If you notice, we're putting them. The screws go down the line every 12 inches on joist, so that it's supported well. When we threw this one up, we put nails here to just help hang it. If you don't have two guys, even. Two guys, we still use that. It just helps support it takes some of the load off. If you're only one guy and you're trying to hang it, you have to build what's like a stick with a T, a piece of 2x4 going across like a T, and you can wedge it. If the 2x4 and the T is just the right height, you can rest it against this and wedge the bottom into the floor, and it'll hold that tight. They also make hangers that hook off here, where you can hang the drywall. A one-guy show can hang the drywall by using these clips and hangers, but it's always better to have two people or more, and it goes a lot faster. We hung this piece of drywall over a can light. The can is just sitting there empty. We took the light bulb out, but we hung this right over that. Now we're going to find it, and I know that it's in line with this one right here. So it's 32 and a half. This is the center of the can. 32 and a half is right there, and probably around there. It's 63 and a half from this wall. Yeah, maybe right there. Okay, so what we're doing is now I know where the center of the can is, and looking at this right here, what I'm going to do. They make a tool called a rotozip. We don't have a rotozip, and so rather than go to the store, we're just gonna buy one. Basically, what we're gonna do is take a drill. We found the center. We're gonna drill it through the drywall in the center. Come over, let the drill bit come over to the side till I hit the side of the light. Then I'm gonna go to the outside edge, pull the drill out, and go to the outside edge, and then by feel, I'll feel the drill against this metal, and I'm just going to go all the way around this metal with the drill bit and cut that piece of drywall circle right out, and it'll fit right on there, no measuring. So that's the grand plan. Ideally, the rotozip spins a lot faster, and it's made exactly for this. It has a support that keeps the rotozip just the right distance away from this, that rests in the drywall. But like I said, we don't have a rotozip, so we're just going to try this little experiment, see how this works, and I think we'll be good. The reason I'm doing all this is just because I'm cheap and I don't want to take the half-hour trip to go to the store and spending another 50 or 75 bucks on a tool that I'll use rarely. So if this will work, so much the better. Okay, so this is where we think the center of our can light is. So I'm just gonna drill a hole and go to the outside with a regular drill bit. There I am. That's to the outside of it. Okay, that should be on the other side of the rim. Yep, that's the side. That was bad. All right, so we're just using a regular drill bit, but I don't want to go too deep because I'm worried it'll scar up that rubber gasket around the can light. So I put this tape as a depth marker, so I won't go too deep. We made it to the inside of the can. Now I'm going to the outside of the can. We went all the way around it, so there we go, it's in. All right, so here we got it all done. You can see it's a little rough. It's rougher than a rotor zip would do for sure, but because we're so close, the baffle will cover it all perfectly. All right, so this is the housing, the baffle for the can light. They typically come in white or black, and we've got white here, but when you put this guy in, it's going to end up looking just like that. And good to go. Had I not torn that drywall, it would be absolutely perfect. I'll fix out just by putting a skim coat of mud on there and we'll be good to go. But that's all that we want to do. It's a perfect cut, and yeah, it's an awfully easy way to do that without having to stress that did you get your measurement correct or not. All right, so I got some mud here. Get this at your typical home improvement big box. I'm just getting a little bit, and all I want to do is put a really, really thin coat over this where I tore the paper by accident. So, and basically it's like frosting a cake, just ever so lightly. And then it's not going to be perfect, but you can hit it with sandpaper afterwards. We're just doing just the lightest, thinnest coat we can to fix that. There we go, all done. It'll dry and we'll hit with some sandpaper and be good as new.
All right, now we've got two pieces installed so far, and as you can see, they're not lined up with each other, and that's because that is a staggered pattern. And the reason we're staggering them is because later on when we finish the entire ceiling, the seams are going to be less noticeable with a staggered pattern than it would be if they all lined up directly with each other. That actually went pretty easily, but now it's getting a little bit trickier because drywall panels are 4 foot by 8 foot, and this space between here and there, the width is not 4 feet. So we're gonna have to do a lot of measuring to get this next piece to fit in. A lot of the times we will go, I'm talking about the distance between this wall and this drywall piece. We'll take off a 1/4 inch, which will allow for 1/8 of an inch gap against that wall and against this piece.
Cutting drywall is super simple. You basically just have to cut through the paper. And once you do that, it breaks right clean on the line. I'm going to draw a line on here. And that's my 91 1/4 piece on this side. I got to get rid of this side. So you just take a box cutter and just go right, and you just with pretty decent pressure, you just stay on that line. And probably the depth that I'm cutting this, I'm probably going through a 1/4 of the way. I'm not trying to cut the whole piece, just break through the front paper on the front side here. And once I've got that done, it's weak on this side that since I cut on the paper, it's gonna bend this and it'll snap. Okay. Now to finish the cut, you just bend it back, and then you can cut on the back side of this. Now I'm cutting the paper on the other side. And that's it. Nice clean cut. And we're ready for our other measurements. One little thing that's nice to do is your boards where you're going to be screwing into, you're going to cover these up. So it's nice to mark them so that you can see where the joists are from these marks. It's just a time saver and an aggravation saver. So now when we got this up and I can't see this, I can just follow this line across and there you go. It makes it much easier. Okay, so we constructed a T. Basically what we're going to do is use it as a prop. There is just a little wiggle room there at the top, and that's what we're gonna use to hold the piece of drywall up high. So we have an extra arm, even though two of us are here. The pros can do this, you know, by themselves. They do it really well, but this is our helper. Alright, so now that we fixed our drywall boo-boo, basically, so you have a couple rings. I'm not sure which one we're using, but there's plenty of space there to cover any of the rough edges. So once that mud dries, I'll hit it with a little sandpaper and it'll be good to go. I hope this helps. Please subscribe for more home improvement videos. See ya.